Alright guys, welcome back to another value for money tier list, and today we're going to be taking a look at the GALIL skins in the game. There is 42 of them in total in CS2 at the time of making this, which is the 10th of May 2025. We're going to rank them all based on the value they offer, not just their aesthetic. And let's get into it. It is the good old usual system we've used for all of the recent value for money tier lists, and we're going to go through them one by one. Now, I am very excited to be able to inspect skins on the new maps like GALIL, but I can't get in those right now, so we're going to vibe on this map. We're going to kick off with the Tornado series, which is just under $7 in minimal wear. And while this isn't my usual cup of tea, I can see why people appreciate it, but $7 is a little bit steep for me. I see that it can be good, which is like maybe it goes B, but I'm going to start it in C. Then we have the Robin's Egg, which is only 35 cents in minimum wear, so at that point it is a pretty good offering for like a low price. It's just a very unique sort of blue color, which isn't going to be for everyone and could be difficult to pair in loadouts. I'm going to start it in B just because of the price, and as always, once we get to the end, we'll see if there's anything we need to change. This is one that's a little bit 50-50. Some people actually quite like the Vari camo, especially if they're into that camo vibe loadout. It's only 20 cents. You do need to get a factory new because it wears badly, and it is pattern based as well. So there's some interesting elements there. Because it's not loved by all, I can't put it too high on the tier list. I would say it's fair to be in like this B category of like for 20 cents factory new to fit a theme that's good, but we can't really push it much higher. One of the new items added into the game was the GALIL control. Now, I believe you have to get this in factory new because it wears quite poorly, but in factory new, which is only $2.80, is very clean and it's very unique. So for me, I don't think I could put it S tier, but this is definitely a high tier value for money skin, especially with all that it offers. So for me, yeah, as I say, definitely A tier. One that's regularly featured in like my budget videos in general has been the Vandal. It comes in under $1 for minimal wear, and there's some cool elements to it, like the drawn on bullets in the magazine. It's got little bits of text all around it, but it is also just like this cheap, goofy, vibey skin. As for that, I think it is again sort of deserving to be in this B tier. So straight away, I was thinking this could join the control in the A tier because it's 65 cents for minimal wear, and it is pretty damn good looking. However, I realize that'll be a little bit of bias coming in because I've been using one recently and I do like it, where realistically it should be held on the same tier as the likes of the Robin's Egg and so on. Which means we're very quickly building out B tier, like massively. Okay, the O-Ranger gives us a pretty good example of why cheap doesn't always mean good value for money, because I can see where some people can fit this into a loadout, but for me, the brown with the orange, it just isn't it. So even though it's 39 cents, it has to be a bit lower. Because it's so cheap, I can't put a D tier, but I think this is like in the C tier category. And do we have our first S tier skin? Like, this is the metallic squeezer. It's 70 cents and it's pattern based. Obviously, this is minimal wear. It's not too much more factory new, but it is pattern based, black base, and you can get gold, bronze, and silver on it. There's a world where I'm like, this could be argued S tier. It just doesn't deserve to go there. Also, just to mention, the video is sponsored by Rain, and at some point, there's going to be a nice little extra bonus code that appears on screen, so stick around. I'm going to go A tier for now. Now, this next one might be an eyesore for some of you guys. It's the Caution, and it costs, I said, $65 plus for factory new, and you need it in factory new because it wears really badly. I like the Caution hand wrap gloves, but I do not like this skin at all, and at $65 plus, I'm wondering, is this getting into like F tier territory? Because it is, you'd have to have such a niche taste to want this. And here we have the joys of a skin that's like only 3 cents, so it is so damn cheap, but it's also just not very nice at all. So a really tough one. Yes, if you only have 3 cents for a GALIL, this is going to be your option. But would you rather use default? Potentially. Now, a couple of episodes back, we sort of discussed it. If you'd rather use default, you'd have to be paid to use it. It becomes D tier because, like, what's the point of getting it? So it's definitely worse than the O-Ranger's offering. I was uncertain about the value for money on the Caution. This one I know for sure what I'm going to say, because this is $185 for factory new. And it is an interesting skin. It's kind of cool, but realistically, $10 max is what we should be looking at that if we're going it purely just on, like, the visuals and the offering. So almost $200 for this, not a chance. And I think it is the most expensive on the list, so it's going to take the sort of crowd at F tier. And we might finally be getting to an interesting point of the GALILs where there's lots of like really strong value for money. Now this next one, it's $21 for a field-tested Cerberus. Now, you could go for minimal wear and higher pricing, but for me, I think with the nature of the Cerberus and the style of skin, you can get away with it in field test, which means this for $21, you're getting an insane amount of artwork. The only sort of caveat would be that you need to have black gloves or like Caution or yellow gloves, because it's not the easiest thing to pair when it comes to like combos. I'm very tempted to be bold and drop this at the end of A tier. I will put it at the high end of B for now, and we'll review at the end. Because the next one is the Eco. Now, this is also a field tested skin. It's $5.88. I don't see any point paying for the minimal wear overpay. Like, it's just kind of nuts. Are we going to be calling this, like, A tier value for money? Like, white and green skin, but it gets some scuffs. But I think, overall, would I rather pay 4 times more for the Cerberus? Personally, yes. I'm really uncertain of where this should be, but I know it's popular, so I'll drop it in A. The next one is the Dusk Ruins in minimal wear, which is $5.50, and yes, it does pick up some scuffs, and I'm pricing for souvenir here because that is what is much cheaper that way, and obviously no stickers on it so you can see the artwork. I don't dislike the skin. I have used it in the past. However, it is a very, very unique tier skin, and that makes it a little bit hard as like a sell at over $5. So I don't like the Tornado skin. I do like the Dusk Ruin, but I think it's fair to say both of them are like the C tier. You know what? It might be the green bias coming through, but potentially the first S tier value for money skin because it's only 11 cent in minimal wear and it hits that vibe for that loadout theme. What do we think? I think it deserves to be up there. We did a video recently where there's a pair of gloves that actually worked really well with the Black Sand skins. This is 16 cent minimal wear. Again, another interesting one because for the price you're paying, you actually get a decent amount. And this is where it's good to compare against that Sage spray that was like 3 cent because I think when you're talking 13 cent, you would much rather pay for this. In the grand scheme, I can see an argument where people could be, oh, it might be A tier value for money. I think it's really high-end B. Next up is the Chatterbox, which has like that interesting value proposition because like the best condition you can get it is field tested, so it's never going to look clean as a skin. I am pricing for Battle Scar because I think that's where the best value for money is because you still get a lot of the artwork on it and it looks cool. And also, when you shoot it, the mouth opens up and down, and I always love that with skins. So these elements of like unique artwork style, cool element for shooting, just a good skin in general, it earns like a lot of points for that. Where I feel like that is like A tier value for money. You're getting a lot there. This could just be because I've never really loved the Cami skins, but I think paying $4.10 for this factory new is like, it's a tough sell. Like, I would rather pay just over double for the Chatterbox myself, and there's a lot of other skins that are going to exist in this price range where I don't see what it is about this, and you guys can let me know if I'm wrong about it in the comments. But I think at that $4 mark, I'd put it in the same category as the Dusk Ruin and the Tornado. How the GALIL Sandstorm has fallen in my eyes. It's $3.50 in minimal wear. It does wear pretty badly low, and it's like you can't even really overlook this as a 0.10 flow, even going down to 0.07. Doesn't save it too much, so... And it is pattern based. You can get like heavier purple. You can get heavier full sand. But would you want to run this? I'm not too sure. There's a part of me thinks it should be D because it just wears so badly. But I'll go C for now because some people use it. Now, if I remember correctly, Anomaly quite likes the Winter Forest because it's from the Office Collection. But for me, really hard sell. This is over $25, and there's actually a few guilds that have this issue of supply where I have to do 25 plus because like the marketplaces are so varied for what you'll get. But it wears so badly in minimal wear, again, a bit like the Sandstorm, and for over $25, I can't say much good about this. And that justifies my Sandstorm pick, I think, like $3.50, low C, $25 plus, D tier, maybe F tier. I think it's fair to say this one is like a community favorite. It's the Tuxedo and it's a $1.20 full black and white vibe, and for just over $1, you actually do get a pretty interesting skin, and there's a lot of gloves that work well with it. And I'm a big fan of artwork skins. That's why I like the Control, why I like the Chatterbox, why I like the Cerberus, but surprisingly, I think the S tier is just like, does it hit the color theme, and is it a good price? This is a skin that I think would have potential if it was in like the $3 mark. It's the Urban Rubble, but unfortunately, you need to get a factory new because it wears badly, and that's going to cost you $21 and upwards. And it's an interesting pattern. I like how cheap the Urban Rubble Deagle is, for example. It's just really tough at that $21 mark. But a huge thing is that it actually looks good. So with that in mind, I'm going to move that Winter Forest into F tier and put this in D tier. And it's also going to go ahead of the Sage Spray. And I really like this new addition. This is the Grey Smoke in the minimal wear, and it's only 8 cents. This is an absolute winner for me, and much like the Tuxedo and more so the Green Apple or whatever it's called, it takes such a nice box for such a low price. And it's kind of like vibey, just this deep purples. This is, as I was just saying, great timing. The Urban Rubble, if it was $3, would be good. This is very much like the cheap Urban Rubble-ish. So for me, I'm saying that's S tier value. And another one that I think is probably arguable as S tier value is the Signal. In minimal wear, it's going to run you about 80 cents. So you're talking under $1, and it's got red and blue, and it's pattern based as well. So you can go out and try and get something you prefer. But red and blue are two of the most popular colors for building a loadout. So for 80 cents, I think this has a pretty strong offering. And again, I know it's like a fan favorite, so I think it deserves to be in this category. It might just be me, but this skin actually gives me like a bit of a headache, or like it's just a bit of it is really an eyesore. That's the best way I can say it. It is only 30 cents in minimal wear, but that pattern style just irritates me, and then it wears badly. So I don't have much to say. It is very much going in this Sage Spray category. Here we have the blue titanium, which in fact, which is the only condition it's available in, is $3.70. This is quite a clean sort of blue shade, and there's gloves that work really well with this, but there's a skin that's going to come up, which is why I can't rate this that highly. For me, this is the key in this like C tier value. You're talking a few dollars plus, but you don't really get much. And I'm sorry for any Amber Fade enjoyers out there, but paying over $27 for this, yes, I know fade percentage can change it, but this is just so horribly lackluster for the money you're paying. This is like a $1 skin max in my mind. Maybe it deserves to be D tier because it at least looks alright for like what you get compared to this Winter Force and the Caution. I've always held the opinion that the Shattered is a skin that had so much potential, but being older and that driving the price up, plus it wearing badly, really hinders it. It comes in just under $9, and it's very like the Op Graphite. It's got that kind of like pattern on it, but you see it more because it's whites and greys, which is interesting. But with that wearing that price, it's just a tough one. Looks nice though, and it's under $10. I'll go high-end D. Now, I've dropped a few 8-cent skins or thereabouts into S tier already. I'm not going to do that for the Destroyer. There's just something about this skin that it doesn't quite hit that for me. Yes, it's 8 cent. Yes, it's cheap and it's cool. But it's not like the Green Apple where it fits a theme for the Tuxedo, or even like that Grey Smoke where it's very unique with a nice colouring. It's just a bit ugly. But I think it's fair to say it's probably still like in this B tier category, kind of like the Robin's Egg. Now, the Chromatic Aberration. Fantastic skin, if we're being honest. This is a great skin. It's just over $4. You're getting pink heavily into a bit of purple. You've got lots of different accent colours on it. Great design across the board, in my opinion. It's not for everyone. And this really, really has me like, is it S tier for what you get? Is it? And I think I'm going to do a review at the end. And I'll note now, Chromatic Aberration, Control, Chatterbox, and the Cerberus we need to review at the end where they move to. And we have another pattern-based one here with the Cold Fusion, much like the Nuclear Gardens and stuff. The skulls move around, all that goodness. This is actually like one of the cheapest skins you can get to pair with like the likes of Overprint hand wraps. And with it being that sort of colorway, 48 cents is not too bad. I would actually say, I don't think it's S tier value, but I think it's like deserving of being like low A tier. And we did have the pink Chromatic Aberration previously, but the one that sort of takes the cake for the pink skins is the Sugar Rush. It'll cost you $64 in factory new, but if you have a big budget, they look incredible with vice gloves, and even here with the superconductors, they don't look too bad. But the thing here is, and I think this is where there's weight behind the Chatterbox and the Cerberus, is they're both like a quarter of the price or lower. You pay a decent chunk for this skin. With that in mind, I am immediately going to move the Cerberus up into A tier, and we'll decide where in A tier it goes. And the Sugar Rush for me, I'm going to say it's like a B tier value for money skin, because you do get incredible artwork, and it doesn't deserve to be in C because of that, but it's a hefty price. Having these back to back is kind of perfect. This is the Phoenix Blacklight. This is the other sort of pinky, a lot of purple as well skin that falls into this category of weird supply, weird pricing. $72 plus is what you're going to be looking at for it. Now, this is pattern based. You can get Raven patterns, which do come with overpay, and they look cool, but across the board, I just like this skin. I think this graffiti style is really interesting, especially for this color palette. Again, like the Sugar Rush, it's a lot of money, which is why, for me, it is a B tier. Super budget-friendly green skins must just have a win in my heart, because here we have the Envy. Minimal wear, it's like 14 cents. Factory new is very little on top as well if you really wanted to get as clean as possible. But 14 cents for this, honestly, this has the pattern that I said I liked on the Shattered, and it just wears nicely, and it's got green accents. You know what? It's S tier value. And you might be sat there saying that I'm only saying that because it's green, but I will tell you now, if that was orange, pink, blue, red, whatever, I would be turning around and saying like this is an S tier value for money skin. The likes of the Firefight has always been an awkward one for me because it's a weird orange color basically, and for the longest time, I think even now, we have a lack of red GALIL skins, and this would be like your closest red option, for example. It's 83 cents. There's a nice sort of silvery shine effect on it. There's a little bit of duct tape on the magazine. It's got some detail into it, but it is this very strange palette color. Whereas if this was even just like black rather than the orange, I think it would look incredible. At the price, I can't justify putting it down into the C tier, but I think I'd say it's like in this sort of Vandal Acid Dart range. I have a bone to pick with this next one, and it's the exact same issue I had with the Emperor when it's feed when it came out. The Rainbow Spoon. This skin had fantastic potential, right? Absolutely fantastic potential. But my issue is that they kept essentially default GALIL parts on it. Like, look at, I'm going to zoom in on the gloves now. If this bit was a different color of anything that could like sort of blend into the color palette of the skin or look better than just a default GALIL, I feel like I need to get it for context. Like, it is pretty much bang on default vibes with the nice pattern, which means when you're paying $45 for it, it takes away so much of what the skin's offering. And I'm not going to rant too much, but it's in this Sport and Field collection, right? Weird sort of thing. And the Emperor when it's faded has the exact same issue. This colorway here around this bit ruins how the fade looks, because when you inspect it, look, you're just getting this absolute mess of like dark coloring through it. This should have all been themed. Rant over. It's with that, I think that's C tier value for money. It's a good skin, it's interesting, but I can't put it on the same value level as the Sugar Rush or the Phoenix Blacklight for those issues. Now, that reason that I couldn't put the Blue Titanium that high is because the Stone Cold exists and it's $3.23. There's a slight difference in the style of skins, don't get me wrong, and the shade of blue, but the Stone Cold is, like, visually, arguably S tier for the GALIL, for what it has. It's really nice shade of blue, nice black accents, and even here, that black sort of bit on the left hand, it looks a little bit defaulty, but it's got a little bit of detail on it just to elevate it. So this immediately for me is like with the chromatic aberration in this like A tier. This one's going to pay me a little bit because I actually quite like the orange DD pat. But as I mentioned with some other GALILs, supply issues absolutely plague it. Like they just do, and that's why the pricing is like $24 plus for minimum wear, because depending on the day, different supply markets, you could be paying much higher or buying on this price, and it wears dreadfully. And I feel like I have to offer consistency. If I'm saying that this winter skin at $20-ish is F tier value, the orange DD pat's kind of the same because of how it wears, and that's from someone that has owned and crafted on an orange DD pat. A small part of me was thinking, should I go factory new for the Rocket Pop? And seeing how it wears, I'm like, shit, maybe I should have, because it wears quite badly for the $2.20. With this being one of the first skins I ever purchased like 10 years ago, I want to give it some sort of benefit of the doubt. This is in factory new, which would be $7 plus to clean it up a little bit. But as you can see, wear still comes through. If this skin just wore a little bit better, I think that color palette would have such a nice offering. It's one that's going to pain me. For $2.20 in minimal wear, I can say it's B tier. I think. We kind of discussed already about red not having a great option for GALILs, and this next one is the Connection. It's 64% minimal wear. This is another option that you'd end up sort of suggesting for red loadouts. Now, I actually, again, don't dislike the artwork for this. I like that cross on the grip in the left hand. It's got the Phoenix collection on the back. Obviously, this plays into a bit of the lore and the storyline in CS, which is always interesting. Do I think it's better than the likes of the Black Sand, the Acid Dart, the Vandal? No, again, I think it deserves to sit in that category. The Crimson Tsunami is one that I feel like I need to sort of battle a little bit for, because everyone overlooks this skin. Maybe not everyone, but most people overlook this skin. It's under $3 in minimal wear. You need to know, it does wear in minimal wear. You're going to get little chips of damage, so if you're really picky about that, factory new is going to be for you. But for $3, interesting color palette, very unique color palette, but you actually get a nice level of artwork on it. So again, for me, where I've got like the Dusk Ruins and C tier for like the $5, I think we can squeeze like a B tier out of this Crimson Tsunami. We actually end it off on a dog shit skin. It is the Hunting Blind. There's always a joke to be made that you have to be blind to actually pay $2 for this and use it, so I'm not going to say anything else. Except that I'm putting the F tier value on it, because you should never be buying it. And this is where we need to have that review on where certain items should really be going. Alright guys, this is what I'm going to leave it at. There was a consideration I had with the Chromatic Aberration and the Stone Cold both going into S tier, because they are such high-end skins. But I think the very high end of A tier is valid for them. So what we have in the S tier, we have the Grey Smoke, we have the Envy, the Green Apple, the Signal, and the Tuxedo. And the ones I just want to say, like the special mentions for this like A tier that you should really consider are Chromatic Aberration, Stone Cold, Control, the Chatterbox, and the Cerberus. And to round up the F tier, we have that Hunting Blind, the Orange DD Pat, we've got the Winter Forest, the Caution, and the Aqua Terrace. Now, you guys can let me know your thoughts of this tier list down below in the comments. Did I get it right? Did I make any mistakes? Is there anything you would change? I always want to have that conversation, so please get involved down below. And this is what I am considering getting myself: Cerberus with my caution gloves, vibing out with the bright colors. I'm going to end it there. Before I do, firstly, a big thank you to the YouTube members that continue to support the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And I did mention, and I did pop it up on screen during the video, but if you're a real one and you made it all this way, above my head now, you'll get that extra bonus code for Rain. So check them out. You need to have signed up with my main code, Fozzy, and then you can use this code for an extra bonus. So check it out. Links are down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.